So, your investor just signed a check for $500,000 for your startup. What's next?
Time to calculate your runway, the time that you can sustain your business idea without bringing in a dime of income. So where should you set up shop? Well, let's see. There's Silicon Valley, the epicenter of the tech universe, right? Sure, you can take the money, hire your team, get a cool but affordable co-working space, and let's say that gives you 6 months until you need to knock on the door asking for more money.
But wait, what if I take my startup here to Singapore? I could extend that runway to 9 months.
Costs are not as high as San Francisco's, and that gives me a little more breathing room to make my idea profitable.
Wait a minute, what about a place like Bali? Now I've got like at least 2 years.
And a beach, and yoga, and monkeys. But how can I build my business on a random island in Indonesia? Simple. Your developer is in the Philippines, your designer is in Germany, and your salesperson is in Canada. You've all got laptops and Dropbox and Skype and Slack.
The world is going global. Some people are building their businesses from their laptop in co-working spaces like this, where costs are just much cheaper.
But there's just one catch. No shoes allowed. Rent a desk in a co-working space in San Francisco, that'll cost about $500 per month.
You want to rent a desk in Bali? That'll cost you around $200 per month.
Your morning cup of coffee in San Francisco? $5.
And your morning coconut in Bali? $1.50.
And not to mention the commute. The average commute time for someone in San Francisco is nearly 1 hour a day. Compare that to a motorbike ride here, easily about 10 minutes. Let's take a look at 2 entrepreneurs proving this shift. MQ Wong and Tony Zhang got their PhDs from Stanford and then started a drone camera robotics company. And they didn't stay in California, they moved to Beijing. While their startup, 00 Robotics, also now has an office in San Francisco, its headquarters are in Beijing, with more offices in Shenzhen and Hangzhou. The drone they developed is still sold and marketed around the world, and they even just signed a deal to sell in Apple stores. A few years ago, they would have probably stayed in Silicon Valley to launch their company. Not today. San Francisco's housing costs have been skyrocketing since the tech boom. Meanwhile, President Trump's causing uncertainty over immigration and the H-1B visa, which Silicon Valley is hugely dependent on to bring top talent from overseas. And now, successful startups are rising around the globe. The number of international unicorns are increasing rapidly. Just a few years ago, only 30% were located outside the US. By 2014, it was 37%. In 2015, it went up to 53%. And last year, it stood at 58%. In fact, half of the top 10 unicorns are outside the US. They're in China. But hold up. There's still a number of reasons people will argue that Silicon Valley is supreme. You can't replicate Hollywood overnight, if at all. For one, there's the culture. Silicon Valley's innovative spirit is what makes it successful, and somewhat ironically, it's the okay to fail attitude that attracts risk takers. Also, talent. If you want to work with people in person, it's a lot harder to find serial entrepreneurs or user acquisition leads with a lot of experience on remote islands. The majority of global venture funding is still happening in Silicon Valley, but there was a 28% drop in total funding in the Valley in 2016 compared to the previous year. Some may still argue location, location, location.
But times are changing. With the rise of global digital nomads, well, it's a working man's paradise.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.